Hi there, I'm Sarah, and if you're planning on moving to Boston this fall and you're looking for an apartment to rent, then this video is for you. Especially if you're looking for a September 1st move-in date. Whether you're a student, a young professional, or just making a change, Boston's rental market is wild around this time of year. Let me walk you through everything you need to know so you can avoid the chaos and find a place that's right for you. September 1st is basically moving day in Boston. I'm talking thousands of people, especially students, all moving on the same day. It's so chaotic, it even has a nickname. There is a neighborhood in Boston called Allston where a lot of students live, and it's called Allston Christmas because so many people just leave their stuff out on the side of the road, stuff that they don't want, and people know that it's going to be there and they come by and pick it up. Free stuff. So if you're looking for furniture, it's a great place to go look for it. Here's how it works. Most leases are 12 months and start September 1st. Usually you need first month's rent, last month, a security deposit, and it used to be that you needed a broker fee, but thankfully that law in Massachusetts has just changed. Renters are no longer responsible for paying the broker fee. Now it's up to whoever hired the broker to pay the broker fee. So instead of 4 months rent up front, now you only need 3. Just make sure that you are prepared to pay all 3 months up front because that's what they're going to ask for. Let's talk about neighborhoods. Boston is compact but incredibly diverse, and where you live completely shapes your experience. Here's a quick overview of some of the most popular areas and what to expect from each. Let's start with central and downtown Boston. The Seaport area. It's ultra modern and trendy. Think luxury high-rises, waterfront views, rooftop bars, and a lot of money for rent. Great for professionals who work in tech, finance, and want a walkable lifestyle. The next area is the financial district. It's very weekday focused. It's quiet at night and on weekends, but it's super convenient if you work downtown. You'll find sleek apartments and some hidden gems in historic buildings. North End. Boston's Little Italy, but make sure you don't call it Little Italy. This is definitely the North End. It's charming, historic, and full of amazing food, and walkable to everything. Apartments here are older and often smaller, but the location is unbeatable. West End. Tucked behind Beacon Hill and next to TD Garden. A mix of older mid-rises and newer luxury buildings. Great central location and walkable to the T and downtown. The next neighborhoods that we're going to talk about are great for students and young professionals. Allston, Brighton. Much younger crowd, lots of students, tons of energy. Affordable-ish, as affordable as Boston gets, but noisy. Great for roommates and music lovers. Fenway. Ideal for students at Northeastern, Boston University, or Berkeley. Close to nightlife and the Red Sox. Expect newer buildings, but you'll pay for the convenience. The next neighborhoods are more classic Boston living. Back Bay. Iconic brownstones, tree-lined streets, and designer shopping. Super central and beautiful, but you'll pay top dollar. South End. Trendy, diverse, and very dog-friendly. Great for creatives and food lovers. Gorgeous architecture, and an inclusive vibe. Every neighborhood has their own rhythm. Make sure that you think about your commute, your budget, and the vibe that you're looking for. And don't be afraid to explore more areas than what you had originally thought that you were interested in. You never know what you might find. So now let's talk about what to look for in an apartment. When you're looking for an apartment, make sure that you ask these questions and you look at these things. Are utilities included? Especially heat. Boston winters are real. You'll see a lot of listings that say heat and hot water included. That's good. That means that your heat and your hot water are probably controlled by a boiler. But the best part is, you don't have to pay for it. Is there laundry in the unit or in the building? A lot of the older apartments that are in historic buildings don't have laundry in the unit, and they may not even have it in the building. So you want to make sure that you have access to a laundry facility or that you know where one is close. Is there parking? This is huge if you have a car. Most places in Boston don't have parking. So you'll have to pay for parking at a garage that might be close or it might be several blocks away. And you should expect to pay $500 a month for parking. That's average. I've seen some of them as high as $700 or $800 a month, and I've seen some that can be $300 a month. But you should expect to pay around $5. They might tell you that street parking is available. However, street parking in Boston is brutal. And you should also expect to pay for the resident sticker that you have to get from the city. I've seen some neighborhoods that resident sticker can be $300 to $500 per year. And that doesn't guarantee you a spot. That just gives you permission to park on the street. If you don't have a car and you're planning on taking the T, make sure that you know where the closest T stop is. You might think half a mile isn't really that far because you're used to driving, and in your car, half a mile is nothing. But when you're walking, half a mile could be 30 minutes. And when it's 30 degrees outside and it's snowing or there's ice on the sidewalk, a 30-minute walk might be more than what you want to do. How old is the building? Some of these places are really charming, but they're kind of gross and falling apart. Not all of them are very well maintained. It's also important to think about, can you handle the dust? Do you have allergies? Do you have asthma like I do? Is that really something that you want to deal with? Some other things to keep in mind, think about the level of noise in the area. Is your apartment right on top of bars and restaurants? If you're close to TD Garden, do you really want to deal with all the event traffic and the noise that comes from all the events there? Is there natural light that's coming into your apartment? Are there other things that are going to make noise that are going to cause you a problem? I've lived right across from a train station, and it's very convenient, but you can hear the trains. And sometimes, especially if it's a commuter rail station, sometimes they move those trains at midnight. And you'll hear one train after another, and the commuter rail stations have these bells that ding. Not fun at midnight, or 1 o'clock, or 2 o'clock in the morning. Also, another not so fun fact, mice are pretty common in older buildings. So make sure that you ask your landlord how they deal with pests, especially if you're in an older building and there's a lot of restaurants around. You might think that mice are tiny and they're cute, but some of the rats here are the size of small dogs. You definitely don't want to be dealing with that on your way to school in the morning. All right, so now let's talk about some apartment hunting survival tips. If you're looking for a September move-in date, you're probably already behind. You want to start looking in May or June for a September 1st move-in date. Most apartments have a 2-month notice period, meaning that when you move out of the apartment, you have to give your landlord 2 months notice before you can move. And the good places around here will go fast. It's also important to note that 70% of rentals in Boston have a September 1st move-in date. So moving date is going to be crazy. If you can negotiate a day that's before September 1st, or if you're flexible enough to move after September 1st, even just a couple of days, that could make your life a lot easier. When you're looking for an apartment, it's best to use sites like Zillow, Apartments.com, Trulia, and make sure that you're looking at all of them because not all rentals show up on every single one. I would definitely be cautious of Craigslist. And even the other apps that you're using, you want to make sure that you're vetting the apartments before you go look at them. And especially before you fill out any type of paperwork or give away any type of information or you give out a deposit. You can look on the mass.gov website to see if a realtor or a broker is actually licensed in the state of Massachusetts. This will help you to avoid falling into one of those scams. There are tons of scams out there and you just need to be careful. There's generally options to tour in person, and oftentimes if the apartment is listed in a building or if it's listed with a broker, they may do a video tour for you if you're not from Boston and or you're not available to tour in person. A lot of the buildings in the city now do self-tours as well. So you can sign up for a time to go and they will give you all the information that you need and they'll give you keys or access codes to go look at the apartments yourself without somebody with you. It's a lot easier way to look at apartments with a lot less pressure and a lot less small talk. It's also important that you're ready to apply immediately if you find a place that you love. Make sure that you have 3 months rent ready to go, which is first month's rent, last month's rent, and a full month for a security deposit. When you find the right place, it's gonna go quickly. So make sure that you're prepared with all of that ready to go. You also wanna make sure that you have your ID with you and that you have 2 months of pay stubs ready to go as well. Make sure that you're asking, what is the exact move-in date? Are there any application fees? Ask, what's the total move-in cost? And who handles the maintenance? Especially if you're looking at one that's outside of the main downtown area, make sure that you ask, who's in charge of snow removal? That's incredibly important around here. And if you're from a place that doesn't have a lot of snow, you may not even think about that. But if you get stuck doing snow removal, that's not something that you want to do. Especially when there's ice and it's snowing overnight and you have to go shovel the sidewalk multiple times in the middle of the night, absolutely not. Not something you want to be in charge of. Okay, so you've found your dream apartment and you've signed the lease and you've gotten all of that out of the way. Now it's move-in day. Let's talk about what to expect move-in day. So if you're actually moving on September 1st, may the odds be ever in your favor. September 1st is going to be absolutely crazy. There's traffic everywhere. There's booked up moving trucks. You probably won't be able to find a moving truck, especially if you waited till the last minute to try to get one. There's people double parking U-Hauls, so you may not be able to get down the street. Lots of streets are going to be blocked. There's people with furniture and boxes moving up tight stairwells. There's people moving out and moving in at the same time. It's going to be insane. Make sure that if you need a moving truck that you reserve it as early as possible. If you're moving into a big building that has an elevator, make sure that you reserve that elevator ahead of time. And if you have a tight budget and you need furniture for your new apartment, check the sidewalk. I'm dead serious. Allston Christmas is a huge thing around here. Even if you're not moving to Allston, it might be a good idea to take your moving truck down through Allston and see if you can find something that you need. A lot of it is good stuff that people just don't want to move. I've rented in Boston for more than 7 years now, and I've definitely learned a lot of things the hard way. When I first moved here, I was wondering why so many apartment listings said heat and hot water included. And I didn't realize until I had actually rented an apartment that I needed to pay for natural gas. I came from the Midwest where electricity was all that you needed. But around here, oftentimes you're going to have to pay for electricity and you have to pay for natural gas. Natural gas is what runs your hot water heater and that also runs your heater. Another thing that I noticed was that some apartments, a few apartments, said central AC. Also, coming from the Midwest, it was common that every apartment had central air conditioning. It was very strange to me here that a lot of apartments don't have central air conditioning. In fact, one of the first offices that I worked in here didn't have central air conditioning. And let me tell you how incredibly brutal it was when it's 90 degrees outside and you're the first one to show up at the office and you have to turn on the window unit. It takes 2 or 3 hours for even a small space to cool down. So if you're used to central air conditioning, make sure that you factor that into your decision-making process. Also, don't think that just because Boston is farther north than most places in the United States that it's cold. It is cold in the wintertime, but it's still warm in the summertime. Think close to 100 degrees for 3 to 4 months in the summertime. The winters can be brutal, but the summers can be a different kind of brutal. And while this is not Florida, there is still humidity here as well. So something else to keep in mind. If you're planning on spending the summer here, be prepared. You definitely need an air conditioner. Also, you want to think about if you're moving into a building that doesn't have an elevator, do you really want to carry your furniture up 4 flights of stairs? And do you really want to carry your school books or your computer and your groceries up 4 flights of stairs? My advice, just make sure that you know what you're signing up for. Be flexible, don't wait until the last minute. Boston is very competitive, but you can find a great place if you come prepared. Are you moving to Boston this fall? Let me know in the comments and let me know what neighborhoods that you're looking at as well. And if you have any questions, I would love to help. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more Boston tips, apartment tours, local guides, and life in the real city. I've got you.